Are you ready to scale your business in a way that's aligned with your soul and profitable? I'm Casey Rossi, a business and leadership coach. I've been a full-time entrepreneur for 30 years and love business. I help conscious leaders increase their impact and optimize their lives. Join me each week for tips and deep conversations on cultivating confidence, increasing your visibility, elevating your vibration, and leading with purpose without burning out. Let's go. Hello, beautiful. Today we're going to be talking about why a growth mindset is the fastest way to mastery. It's one of my favorite topics and one that often gets overlooked for more alluring ones like cash and conversions. The truth is, you can't have success without a positive and growth-oriented mindset. Think about it for a moment. Do you think it would be possible to thrive and achieve if you were someone that saw the glass half empty? If cynicism was your default mode, or you crashed and burned if something didn't go your way? I don't. The cool thing is mindset, which is a collection of your thoughts, beliefs, philosophy, and worldview, can be refined. Actually, I'd go so far as to say even trained. Some say programmed or reprogrammed, but I really like to look at it as a practice. So I like it to think about it as like a training and process. So to me, that means that it is not a select few that were gifted a strong and vibrant outlook on life, but something that each one of us can learn to cultivate. And no matter how we were raised or how deep some of our internal wounds are, we have the power to shift our perception, to reframe and rise. And like I said, I really look at this as a practice, and we know and science confirms that what we repeat becomes a habit. So if we learn to recognize thoughts that are not supportive or even limiting us from truly becoming who we are meant to be, we can flip the script. Now, it's not about shaming ourselves for thinking a negative or critical thought. Like, we're human, right? We're human, so we have to expect that. But it's about recognizing it and getting more adept at turning it around, looking for the growth opportunity, embracing the lesson, and moving on. Now, if you're the analytical type, you may be programmed to assess risk. You may even think that you're just being realistic and pragmatic. And that's cool. I love a spreadsheet just as much as the next girl. Yet, when it comes to thriving and optimizing, that black and white thinking won't serve you to the fullest. Now, according to Stanford psychologist Carol Dweck, who is a leading mindset expert, I love her work. She really talks about the two types of mindsets, a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. Now, a fixed mindset is one that is black and white thinking. You're either good at something or you're not. You win or you fail. It's good or it's bad. And really, period, end of the story. But a growth mindset is one with much more fluidity and openness. It's an opportunity outlook and love of learning and improving. Like the famous Henry Ford quote, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Your mindset is actually creating your destiny on a moment-by-moment basis. It sounds dramatic, but there is a lot of truth to that statement. Your mindset has the power to govern your success. And mindset is the number one way to mastery. Mastery in anything. Mastery in our personal lives, which would look like fulfilling and loving relationships and community. Mastery in our business world, which would look like soul alignment and profitable work. Mastery on a global scale, which would look like creating an impact, leaving a legacy, and spreading a positive message that inspires others to do the same. I know if you're listening to this that mediocre is not enough, that just getting by is not going to cut it for you. And I love that about you, and I completely agree. A so-so life is boring, stale, and doesn't help us achieve greatness. To master anything, to truly have a deep, comprehensive understanding, we have to be willing to try and try again, to embrace the learning process so that we become so proficient at it that mastery is inevitable. And I want to pause here because that practicing process, that messy middle, it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. And most of us, myself included, we want that mastery sooner than later, especially if we're in the public eye, right? It's not very comfortable to fail publicly or to not have the most engaging, talk on the stage or Facebook Live or fill in the blank. But that's the process. And I think that when we approach our life and our work and our business with that growth mindset, that we understand that it's a process, that we understand that in order to be proficient and really master something, that it's going to take multiple attempts, multiple tries. I always say that success is showing up. It's showing up for yourself. It's showing up for your community, for your clients, for your dedicated fans. And so that's really a part of embracing the growth mindset. So back to thinking about this mastery, this deep, comprehensive understanding, that willingness to try and try again. And the exciting part is when you actually start to see certain things loosening. I always kind of think of it as loosening the soil. There's some movement going on, and you can start to see the needle moving. That is very exciting because I think that gives us a shot in the arm to keep at it and keep going. And it's not for the faint of heart. It's really for those that are committed to excellence and that don't have a plan B. They're in it. They're in it 100%. There's no turning back. So this, my friend, is going to help you stand out in a crowded marketplace. This will absolutely carve out your unique lane of expertise. So my question to you today is, what are you currently mastering? And how can you cultivate a growth mindset to help you hit the target more often and with more ease and flow? Again, I'm a fan of progress over perfection. It is much more than a trendy hashtag to me. So, what are you currently mastering? And how can you cultivate a growth mindset to help you just make those incremental changes of improvement? What I think a lot of people take for granted is the ability to harness our minds. We do not have to be controlled by our thoughts and the natural tendency towards what can go wrong in a situation. That with awareness, we have the power to turn it around and actually have our mind become our best friend and help us achieve things, because it wants to complete the mission, so to speak. It wants to meet the targets that we lay out for it. It may need a little direction, but it is truly there to serve us. So years ago, I was in a business partnership that spanned 2 decades, and it was awesome. We complemented each other, and in that, our strength was multiplied. When we sold our last business and I ventured into solopreneurship, I had a fixed mindset, and I had the thought that I wasn't funny or personable, that those were the strengths that my partner had, which actually allowed me for years to be behind the scenes, and that was my part of the process. So that repeated habit of being the buttoned up professional also became my mindset. And it wasn't until I started doing deep work on professional development for business did I begin to melt those old patterns, and more importantly, create new mental grooves proving otherwise. I had to be willing to embrace the change, and I needed to be willing to release any labels and also be willing to step out of the comfort zone to achieve different results. So this is definitely a work in progress. We are a work in progress. It is a process, no doubt, but one that's approached with the right state of mind can be exciting. It's thrilling to bust old grooves. It is satisfying to see a challenge not through the lens of fear, but through a lens of opportunity. So just because you don't know something doesn't mean you can't learn it. And just because you never did something that way doesn't mean you can't try. And this applies to tasks even like web development and copywriting as well. These business building blocks are not one and done items on a checklist. As we grow and change, so do all the creative assets that surround our brand. So when we embrace the ebb and flow of never-ending change and continuous improvement, we will be on the best success path going. Nature isn't fixed or static, right? You know I love nature metaphors. And when you look at nature, it's always changing, it's growing, it's morphing, it's transforming, it's transitioning. We can learn a lot by observing our surroundings. If you follow me on social, you've probably seen a couple of pictures of my backyard. I have these magnificent 75-foot spruce trees that are just amazing. And when the wind blows, they dance and they sway. And I often watch them in awe of their flexibility. They aren't rigid, because if they were, they would break and cease to exist. And we're very, very much the same. Growth mindset is our opportunity to exercise fluidity and grace. Failure is our opportunity to learn and come back stronger. So cultivate enthusiasm to start shifting those old paradigms, and soon you will be really experiencing a whole new reality. And that, to me, is super exciting. I hope it's exciting for you too. To mastery, my friends. Until next week, breathe joy.